draft capital allocation for every GM in their respective tenure with their top 100 picks. So there's 3 GMs that have yet to draft because they're first timers at Arizona, at Pittsburgh, at Tennessee. But the long storied run of how Tom Telesco drafted. And he's pretty much steady Eddie everywhere. He picked 5 linebackers. That's 15%. That's the most he's ever drafted. He picked 4 guards, 4 wide receivers. That's the second most. And then 3 safeties, 3 corners, 3 interior defensive linemen, 3 tackles, and then kind of just down from there. 1 quarterback, 1 running back. Never went too crazy at one position, right? Like, always kind of just kept everything pretty even where the needs were. Now, also remember, he didn't have to do a lot of quarterback drafting because he went from franchise quarterback to franchise quarterback. They weren't stuck in quarterback purgatory. They signed their best like defensive ends, right? Mac and what have you. So he didn't have to like keep going through that cycle as much as other players. What was your biggest takeaway when you looked at who he likes to pick up and who he doesn't?
He did a lot of best player. It wasn't always like the big 5 positions, but the players that he picked out of the big 5 positions, like the linebackers, like they all ended up being pretty good. Mm. So he's just a steady dude. He's a steady talent evaluator. He got the best position right, the most important position. He got it right. And he's, the 1 year that he didn't have a line good enough to protect his quarterback, he fixed it the next season. Mm. The very next season, he fixed it in the first round. So it's the spread of the positions that he chose was a little encouraging, I think, to me, because you're not going to see him fall in love with the position. And you kind of have to take a look back at the composition of the team at the time he took those players.
Yeah,
but it was positions that the guys came in and they contributed. So that's a highlight.
There's enough variables with each draft because, like you mentioned, the composition of the team, who was available in that draft, right? Was it a tackle-heavy draft? Or was there like you just need a cornerback, but there were none in that draft? Like that all matters too. But he did go mostly linebacker, guard, wide receiver. 1 position we have plenty of, and 2 not very high positions that you should be drafting all that often, right? You shouldn't be drafting linebackers and guards very high. Any of that worry you at all? Or he's just going to go like best position available, and maybe it's going to be a not because you're always like, hey, premium positions are the only ones you draft high. Any concern at all that Telesco's
not really, not really. The linebacker thing and the linebacker position is changing recently. Mm-hmm. So they're becoming. You don't need as many because you don't normally have as many on the field anymore. Mm-hmm. The guard is actually, one of the reasons why we signed Andre James is we don't want to get another guard. Like the guards are getting big money, bro. So these guards are like the next wave of the tackles being paid. Is the guards are getting paid now because of the pressure up the middle. So I wouldn't sleep on the guard position if a good one's available that can slot in right away and you can plug him in to be, one of the top players in the league for years to come because he's good and he takes a position of need that's important and he's cheap. So I wouldn't necessarily pick a guy in the first round at where we are. Maybe if we trade back, we get a tackle that can play tackle and guard type of thing. But no, I wouldn't do that in the first round. But definitely, rounds 2 and 3. I did it. I picked a guy that can go, switch back between the 2.
He seems like the most boring GM ever, which is what we need. Not going crazy, not falling in love with guy and trading the house for it, not reaching for some random dude because you fell in love with them because of their ROTC scores. It's like just did the homework, read the board, make your adjustments, play the best odds. Just basic, standard issue, standard operating procedure. Don't overthink it. Just do your homework and go, which is so opposite of how the Raiders have been for decades.
It seems like we have a calming, steadying influence at GM now. And I don't know that he's going to allow anyone to bully him into a position or a way of thinking or a strategy. I think he's got an idea of what he wants to do, a pretty clear idea of what he wants, incorporating what AP wants for the team. And I think, the buck's going to stop with him. And we've heard that. And Telesco's not going to be that kind of guy where he's going to be like, look, dude, I had owners just screwing with me left and right. I'm not doing that again. If it's going to be me, it's going to be me.
Hey, you made it to the end of our video. Great job. I know you want more. Go ahead and click the next video. And if you're feeling crazy, go ahead and subscribe.